Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another M340i build vid. Now we're probably on about part 6 right now, so as a bit of a recap, part 1 the kidney grills were changed over to some gloss black ones and the door mirror covers. In part 2 I had the body kit fitted, so the splitter and the diffuser at a body shop. In part 3 I believe we had the interior stripped out into this gorgeous looking carbon fibre, dry carbon and Alcantara. I think in part 4 we got to sort of doing the canards and the rear exhaust tips and the spoiler. In part 5 we had the car lowered, and here we are now in part 6. So in today's vid we're going to try and finish off the M340i, and I've got a few things that we're going to be going through and fit into this car. So the first thing is this steering wheel. I've not been too happy with the steering wheel because, like all BMWs, it's just gone too shiny and it's just ruining the experience of being behind the wheel here. As something that I'm just going to swap out. The gear lever as well, we're going to swap this out for an M Performance one and some kick plates as well. So let me go and show you the parts that we've got. So here's the parts that we're going to be fitting to the M340i. It's going to again transform the interior, take it to another level. Let's start off over here. So we've got paddle shifters over here. If I just take this out, it's got a real good feel that this has. It is aluminium and it's much larger than the ones that we've currently got. So yeah, really excited to get those fitted. We've then got a steering wheel piece. I showed this in one of my last videos. So it's an M Performance steering wheel piece. It's got the dry carbon as well, which is going to match all the other carbon. This is what I'm really excited about. So if I hold this up, it's the new steering wheel that I'm going to fit onto the M340i. It's not shiny whatsoever. It looks really nice, and the best thing about it is that it's even got the M Performance stripe on there as well. Now it has got the heated steering wheel button if it focuses. It's also got this little motor here which is for the rumble, so when you've got the lane departure stuff going off, that's what that's there for. But we're going to assemble all of this. So all of the parts on my current steering wheel are going to come off, all the buttons. I'm not worried about the trim because I have the carbon fibre one. So imagine it's going to look something like that. And then the airbag's going to go on top. And we're also going to have the paddle shifters on here, which is going to look absolutely amazing. I think it's going to look something like that. So you kind of get the idea as to how large those paddle shifters are compared to the ones we currently got on the M340i. So if I move that to the side, we've then also got some carbon kick plates. Now these are the M Performance ones. Everything that you see here apart from the paddle shifters, this is all OEM pieces. So these we're going to take off the M340i kick plates, which are in chrome, and put these carbon fibre ones on which say M Performance. Now I was umming and ahhing about putting these on, and the reason for that was I thought I had the kick plates on the rear door sills as well, and I don't. So therefore I'm not too fussed about putting these on because they're only on the front anyway. We've got to have a trim removal tool underneath here. This is just rubber anyway, so once it's under there we should be able to just start popping them. There you go. So there we go, we've just removed the M340i kick plate. On the rear of them you've got the little plugs, if that's what you want to call them. We're just going to go ahead and remove these plugs and install them onto the M Performance kick plates, and hopefully just be able to replace it. So the kit normally comes with like some of these clips anyway, in case you break the ones that you are taking off. I'm going to probably just take these ones off from here and just put them onto the M Performance ones. They literally go in exactly the same way. So that's the M340i kick plate and that's the M Performance one, and then we're going to just go ahead and install that and hopefully make the entrance to the M340i a little bit more appealing. So we just line it up and then hopefully, there you go. And just like that, we've added another 10 horsepower. So that's a pretty straightforward upgrade to do to your G20. I mean, the M Performance kick plates on this car, they go with the rest of the theme. The M340i kick plates are quite specific, and you know, they're quite a good feature anyway because they're only featured on the M340i. However, the M Performance ones, like I say, they go with the theme of this car. I'm going to go ahead and do the one on the other side, and then we'll move on to the steering wheel and the gear stick. I forgot to show you the M Performance gear stick that I'm going to be switching over. Got an M Performance gear stick with an M etched emblem over there. That's what it looks like from behind. So you're just going to connect this one up with the existing ribbon. You get this in two versions, Alcantara and dry carbon. I've got both of these kind of like backing, so essentially the way it works is it goes on like that once it's all connected up, so you get like a Alcantara feel or the dry carbon. Now I've got the dry carbon as well as this, so we're going to try both of them and see which one I'm going to go ahead with. So we're back to the center console again. We've had all the dry carbon fitted. Now we're going to swap out this gear stick. Now I did have a problem with some parking brake issues, so it went in for some warranty work, and all of this console here is all brand new, including this gear stick as well. So I will be putting this up for sale. If someone wants a brand new standard G20 gear stick, you can, you know, make me an offer or something like that for that. But in comparison, you can actually see the difference between the standard one and the M Performance one. They are exactly the same, apart from the little bit at the top there, which, you know, is going to be in keeping with the rest of this whole M Performance kit here. Now the other thing I've got here is this is the dry carbon backing against the Alcantara one as well. So I'm going to probably have a look at which one I prefer. You never really seem to see this stuff because it's actually on the reverse of the gear stick, so it's going to be down here. So you never really see that anyway, you just feel it. So whether it's the dry carbon or the Alcantara, I am swayed perhaps with the Alcantara just because there's Alcantara here and the armrest, so I'm probably going to go with that. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to just remove all of this dry carbon, and we get our trim removal tool, and I suppose we just put it in here and we just push this thing back like that, so that comes back, and then we're just going to go ahead and remove this trim here. There we go. I think once you've already done this, it's a bit easier for the second time. So it's always going to hinge on this bit here, so you just got to be careful so we don't really break anything. There we go. Lift it up. Nothing's broken. Right, now you could do this like here by removing this, but I'm going to get this on the bench, so I'm going to go ahead and remove these, probably, what are they, T10s maybe or whatever, torque screwdrivers, and get this on like a bench or inside, and then it might be easier to actually remove that. It's a T20, so we're just going to unbolt these 4 T20 bolts. Okay, so we remove the 4 T20 bolts, and now we can just literally just lift this up. Now you got to be careful because you've got obviously some wiring and cables underneath there, so we need to obviously remove them. So yep, just be careful with it all. You don't want to snag anything. So you got 2 cables, you got one up here and one down there. So let's go ahead and just remove them. There we go. That's for the parking brake. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just twisted this around rather than trying to disconnect it. There's 2 clips there, obviously I've taken one out, the other one's a bit stubborn, so I'm just going to leave it there. Now the idea is I'm going to take this piece off, which is the plastic piece, and there's a couple of ways. You can either do it with like a trim removal tool. My trim removal tools don't seem to be thin enough, so I'm going to try and get like a flathead screwdriver in here and pry this out gently. Again, here we go, let's try if that kind of works. It should just literally just clip out anyway. Okay, so you just put it in there all the way through. Okay, so this then just unhooks like that, as you can see. Now the most sensitive bit here is that white ribbon. You got that little clip there that we need to open and slide the ribbon out. So let's try and do that. Should be quite straightforward. Just trying to get your hand into there is a bit difficult, but there you go. We've got that done. You can slide that ribbon out without actually breaking it. There you go. And then you've got this little screw there, which again we need to take off so we can remove the actual gear stick. So you can imagine trying to do this if that gear stick is in the standard position. So yeah, I'm gonna try and get that, unhook that out, and then remove the gear stick. Okay, so that screw there is a T10. I'm going to try and unscrew that while holding the ribbon back and getting my camera to focus as well. Okay, so that's now all torqued in. Let's just get this ribbon. Hopefully we should be able to slide that ribbon in like so and clip it in. Right, now it's just a case of putting all this back together now. Carbon or Alcantara, I don't really know, because the carbon will look quite nice as you can see here, but do I really want to be always touching carbon? I think the Alcantara actually feels nice. I'm going to go with the Alcantara for now because we've got quite a lot of carbon going on anyway. So the Alcantara piece is the one that we're going to fit. So hopefully this will just snap back on. In fact, there you go. Alcantara is fitted quite nicely. It does have a nice feel because it's quite chunky as well compared to like the plastic piece. So you got a nice kind of feel around it down from here. Now what I'm going to do is just go and refit this in the same way as what we've done. We've got to re-plug in some of the switch gear. Okay, so that's now plugged back in. Now we're going to go ahead and just reinstall all of this, put it back. Just lift it in, there we go. And now just reinstall the 4 screws. Okay, so that's looking pretty good already. We've got the M Performance gear stick on with a nice sort of M lettering on there, Alcantara. And I think that looks pretty decent. Okay, so the time has now come to swap out the steering wheel. Just looking at it, it's rather battered, really shiny. Typical BMW, I don't understand why they become so shiny. But we're going to swap it out for something that looks a little bit better as well. It is an M Performance steering wheel. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take off the negative terminal on that side. There we go. Probably seen this done a number of times anyway, so nothing too exciting. Okay, so we're just taking the negative terminal off, whacked it under there. Now I've seen people obviously close all of this down here and whatnot, but I've got a electronic boot lid and nothing's happening with that now. So we're going to be alright. So this is my steering wheel in my 3 Series. As you can see, it's very shiny. It is worn out quite a bit. We're going to take the airbag off. You've probably seen this happen a few times in other YouTube videos, but in order to take the airbag off, we got to put in a screwdriver into this little indentation here. That's going to then pop the airbag off, and then we do the same on the other side and disconnect it. So let's go ahead and do that. So I can just focus on there, and we can just pop it through from there. So we just pop the airbag out. It hasn't gone off because obviously the battery's not connected. So if I just show you when we put in the screwdriver on the side, you can see that little clip. We are kind of pushing against it, so your kind of screwdriver is kind of going into there essentially, and we are pushing against that clip. So when we push against that clip, it releases the airbag. Now we got connections there, so we're gonna release these connections. So disconnected that connector, just the one for the airbag. Here it is, that yellow one, just literally just disconnects. Now we've got this 16mm bolt here which we need to remove. Now I believe that the steering wheel is actually only on in one way anyway, so it doesn't matter if the steering wheel looks a bit tilted, it can only ever go on one way. So we're going to take this off. Let's get the tools. 16mm socket, never been used before, first time being used to remove the steering wheel. I've connected like a little extension just to give me a bit of leverage, and just like a little wrench. So I'm expecting there to be quite a bit of torque on here as well. So let's have a look how this kind of goes. One-handedly, it ain't going to do anything, so I might have to just hold the steering wheel by one hand and remove this. So a quick progress update. This 16mm bolt is so damn tight. It's yeah, you're going to need a breaker bar to take this off. My tools seem to be okay, but I'm struggling to get this off at the moment, so I'm just asking a few friends for some help. You've got to really hold the the steering to one side as well to unbolt that. It's proving a little bit difficult, but we will persevere. So last night I couldn't get that bolt off, that 16mm, which meant I had to go and invest in some more tools. So I got myself a breaker bar, this massive thing, and as part of that I had to also get another socket set as well, because this socket is different to the one I was using yesterday. The one I had yesterday didn't fit onto this breaker bar. So yeah, more money invested in tools. I'm sure they'll come in handy later. So I'm now going to go back and try to remove this 16mm bolt with this breaker bar. There we go, folks. This bolt has been a nightmare. You got a little indentation right there, and that aligns up with the indentation there, and you've got the connectors up here, so it's only ever going to go in one way and come off as well, for that matter. And that's one steering wheel off. That's the original steering wheel, and that's the replacement one. As I was showing you that earlier on, we do have the M stitching, which looks quite good. This one is quite worn out, as we can see here, and the idea being is we're going to swap out all of the buttons, mainly the buttons, and get rid of the paddles and put them onto this side. We have got the paddle shifters, so it's going to make that one look a bit better. So we're going to go ahead and start stripping it, and I'm just going to use this one as a bit of a reference. So it looks like I've got all the connectors already here, which are exactly the same as what we've got on this one. So I'm going to start stripping this down and see how we get on and transfer the buttons over onto this one. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is remove the blue switch on that side and the one on that side, because behind these we've got a T20 which will release the paddle shifters. So if I just move that out the way, you can see that there's a T20 right there, behind there, and just by removing the T20 you can feel that the paddle shifter behind it is getting loosened. So hopefully that will just now drop out. So I've been able to remove the paddle shifters by disconnecting the blue clip, which was in there, and for the other one in there. We are going to retain the T20 screw because we don't have them on the new steering wheel, so we're just going to transfer them over. We're going to carry on with the stripping down of the steering wheel. So the buttons are going to be next, and I think I need to remove this trim, which I'll show you how to do that now. We're going to turn the steering wheel over, and we're going to remove the T20 screw here and the one on the other side. Let's go and do that. So remove the two torque 20 screws. We flip the steering wheel over. We have to remove the heated steering wheel. That's obviously connected here. We don't need this for the new steering wheel because we already have it. And then hopefully now we should just be able to remove the trim, just like that. We have to be careful because we are going to be transferring the buttons over, and it just looks like it's a little bit stubborn. With a bit of gentle force, we should be able to take the whole thing apart. So as you can see, it's all kind of coming apart now. It's just hinging on the bottom bit here, and hopefully we'll be able to get that off. Okay, so just wiggled it around a bit and we were able to get that off. Now again, we've got some more connectors on this side, which hopefully I should just be able to pull that off. So there we go. We have now removed the buttons and everything from the old steering wheel. We're not going to need the heating steering wheel, like I said, because we already got it. The main thing we need are going to be the control panel buttons for the radio and the cruise control. Now they're bolted on just with some screws here, and this whole piece is just going to come off, I believe. So the next thing that we need to do is remove this upper trim piece, because the new steering wheel obviously doesn't have it. So a lot of the stuff that we're taking off from this steering wheel is going to get transferred over to the new one. I'm kind of learning this as I'm going along, just kind of looking at what we've got, what we haven't got on the new steering wheel. So we've got T20 bolts again across here. We're going to remove them and take this off. T20 seems to be BMW's go-to sort of bolts and screws, so we'll just go ahead and do them as well. The bolts are off. Hopefully this now will just unclip and unhinge. There you go. And the idea being this is now going to fit onto the new one up here, so then we can start putting everything together onto the new one. So just something to note, the centerpiece and the wiring loom or the harness doesn't need to be transferred over to the new steering wheel, and the reason for that is that's already got it. As we can see, it's already got the heated steering wheel button and everything else. We don't need to transfer any of the wiring loom or the centerpiece onto there. However, if you are building a new steering wheel, like if that was an aftermarket, let's say an Alcantara one, then you need to further strip all of this down by removing more bolts and the wiring loom in itself as well. But fortunately for me, don't need to do that, so we can start building that one up now. So the new steering wheel top trim has now been fitted. Basically, we just done the reversal off, taking it off, put those T20s back on. The top trim is done. Next, I'm gonna modify these paddle shifters. We're gonna remove the actual mechanism and insert that onto the new paddle shifters. I'll show you how we do that right now. Okay, so this is the standard paddle shifter and this is the extension one, which looks much better than this little thing. As you can see, it's massive. Now we're going to transfer the actual mechanism from here onto the new one, and the way we do it is, if we look closely, we've got a little pin in there, as you may be able to see, and we need to pop that pin out. So you can do that with a number of things. I've got a very small Allen key here, and I'm just going to go and prod that pin in from the bottom, if I can align it up properly, and it just kind of pulls out. Now I'm going to use the new paddle shifter for a point of reference, and you've got these little clips here. Now the idea being is, once that pin is out, this is quite loose, but you've got some spring action in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to lift it that way so the springs don't come off, and kind of unhook it somehow. I've not done this before, so this can go only two ways. There you go. So you kind of lift it outwards and the spring retains in there. And then the idea is we're just going to put this in pretty much exactly in the same way, I hope. And retain that pin back in, and hopefully we should maintain that sort of mechanism. Yeah. So I've got the pin here which I'm going to insert, but just before it goes in you can see that it's clicking and there's a bit of pressure as well, which is quite good. And then you just insert the pin. You can do it from the top all the way down. Yeah, job done. So look at the difference in size. These are the replacement ones, all working absolutely fine, and these are the OEM ones. These are aluminium, these are plastic. Now we're going to go ahead and fit or install these onto the new steering wheel. It is going to be the reversal. Feed it through from the little hole over there, connect it up into the blue connector, and put the Torx 20 screw back in place. Okay, that looks amazing. Paddles are working, and we can just see how large the paddles are as well there. You've got them at the bottom and you've got them at the top as well, and they look absolutely amazing. They're both working fine. We do need to connect this up. Now the next stage is obviously not only the trim piece, but we need to take off the steering wheel controls from the old trim. So I mean, that just looks wrong. So we're going to take these off, and I think we're just going to unhook them from the back and install them onto the new one. Right, so if I just look at what needs to be transferred over onto the new trim, we've got a couple of bolts already here, which are these two, and I think we got one there. So three need to be transferred over, which I believe is going to be that one, and the one at the top over there. So I don't think we need to take off any more than just those three and then transfer it over. We have got a wiring loom again here that kind of runs all the way down and across to the other side, so we need to obviously transfer that over because we don't have it. You can see that this has got the heated steering wheel on this side. We don't need to transfer that over because we've already got that onto the actual steering wheel. As you can see, there's that purple clip, and that's that, so I don't need to worry about that. So those are, I believe, a T8 Torx 8 screw. We're just going to go ahead and just whack them off and put them onto the new one. I'll just do that off camera, it'll be quicker and easier. Transfer of buttons is now complete. Wiring loom is kind of set in the way it was in the other one. Might just need to reconfigure it just a little bit, but it should be fine. And that's how it looks. Really, really smart. We're going to now go and install this onto the new steering wheel and get the heated steering wheel button fitted into there as well. So I think that looks absolutely amazing. The leather feels way better than the previous one because that's really worn out. This one's fairly brand new. And most importantly, we've got the M stitching. The trim is going to go nicely with the rest of the interior. And overall, I'm so happy with the way these paddle shifters are as well. Right, the moment of truth. So this flips in. Right, so steering wheel's in place. We're now just going to go ahead and put the 16mm bolt back in, which was a pain to take off initially. So just going to screw it in with hand first, just so that we can get it in place. Get it to a point. We're going to torque it up. I think it's 62.5 Newton meters. We've got a torque wrench as well. So we're all torqued up. Steering wheel is looking nice. We now just got to go ahead and install the airbag. So let's just connect the airbag up there. And perfect. That looks amazing. Pedals feel great, buttons feel quite good as well, and overall I'm impressed with the way the steering wheel has turned out. So the M340i is now nearing completion. This vid, I know it's long-winded. It's taken days to complete. I've done each item bit by bit. The steering wheel was a nightmare in itself. I had my neighbours come in and trying to take that 16mm bolt off, but we managed to get there at the end. And it's amazing. The steering wheel is probably the highlight of the whole interior, because not only is it much newer than the one that we replaced, it's in way better quality, and the feel of it, because you touch it on every drive, it just feels fantastic. The tricolor theme is continuing on the steering wheel, the armrest, the seat belts as well, which is quite nice, and we've gone for that Alcantara and dry carbon look as well on the interior. It has absolutely lifted the interior. I do hope that you have found today's content enjoyable to watch. If you have, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully guys, I'll see you on the next one when I compare my M340i to my M4. Take care, bye.